Let us learn to dream, gentlemen, and perhaps then we shall learn the truth. The snake eating its own tail in the dream led to the discovery of the dynamic
Kekule, the famous Kekule for his Kekulin structures. What are Kekulin structures? The benzene structures I am talking about, the benzenoid compounds, the aromatic compounds. We learn a lot about organic chemistry, we learn a lot about the chemical compounds, but every student, literally every student, runs away from chemistry, tries to run away from chemistry like anything. Why? Because somewhere we as teachers also fail to develop that passion among them. Now, how do we develop that passion? We need to make the chapter, we need to make the subject interesting. And here I come across one of the discoveries made by Friedrich August Kekule, who's famous for the Kekulin structures, that is the benzene structures, the benzenoid compounds or the aromatic compounds we call in as of today. During his time in the 19th century, somewhere between 1825 to 1850, 1875, we had only discovered the long chain structures of carbon organic compounds. Okay, so that we knew that carbon can connect with it because of its catenation property and form long chains and branch chains. And Kekule was actually studying about benzene compound and trying to find out the structure of benzene. How is it going to be? So throughout the day and night, he used to always think about atoms, 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 compound. That was his dream. He wanted to achieve success, to get to some conclusion, to find out what could be exactly the structure of benzene like. But unfortunately, he did not get success until a day when he was just sitting at night. He was sitting in his home writing a textbook, sitting on the chair. But the work did not progress of his writing because his thoughts were somewhere else. He was thinking about benzene and atoms. See, that's how the chemists are, right? That's what the passion is. If you're passionate about something, you really need to think hard. You really need to put in maximum efforts to achieve the target. And even if you fail in some way or the other, there is yet another day to work upon it. But you have to keep on working. So he was sitting and he was writing, but his thoughts were somewhere else and just writing. He was writing and then he sat on the chair facing the fire in front of him at his home. He sat with the book and he dozed off. That is the life of a passionate chemist or a physicist or a biologist. Okay, so he went to sleep facing the fire. As he went to sleep, what is he writing? I turned my chair to the fire and dozed. Again, the atoms were gambling before my eyes. The atoms were gambling before his eyes. So all the atoms were moving around in front of his eyes in such a manner. So in his dream also, he was thinking about atoms. This time, the smaller groups kept modestly in the background. That means every time he used to go to sleep, he used to see many atoms, the structure of atoms and all. He's writing, this time the smaller groups kept modestly in the background. My mental eye. What is your mental eye? Mental eye means when you're deep in sleep, right? The mental eye rendered more acute by repeated visions of this kind. The mental eye was rendered more acute by such kind of visions could now distinguish larger structures of manifold conformations. So it could now distinguish larger structures of manifold conformations, means different conformation structures, different type of structures, his larger structures could be seen by his eyes. Long rows, sometimes more closely fitted together. So you could see long rows, sometimes more closely fitted together, and twisting and turning like snakes. Like motion. Snake like motion mein those atoms were twisting and turning. But look, what happened? What happened next? In the vision, in the dream of Auguste Kekule, that gave rise to the dynamic structure of benzene. What was that vision? So he says, look, what was that? One of the snakes had seized hold of its own tail. One of the snake that was going around, that seized hold of its own tail. So it seized the hold of its own tail. That means the snake turned around and held its own tail and formed world mockingly before his eyes. So he was looking at it, and that particular form was mocking at him. I mean, you're so close to define the structure of benzene. As if by a flash of lightning, I woke up. And he woke up immediately. He started thinking, wow, what was that? That snake-like twisting around atoms now just turned around and held its own tail. That means that kind of possibility is there in carbon-carbon linking. So if carbon-carbon can form long chains, if carbon-carbon can form branch chain, carbon-carbon can form cyclic chain as well. I should not say chain, cyclic ring as well. So overnight, entire night, he sat down to work out on the hypothesis of exactly the consequences of this particular hypothesis. And finally, he came down to the conclusion that benzene would be definitely having the dynamic ring-like structure, the oscillating structure. Later on, all the chemists and physicists, they all approved and they started working on it. And today's date, we know the resonating structures of benzene. That how benzene, even being highly unsaturated hydrocarbon, does not undergo addition reactions but undergoes substitution reactions. And what are the reasons behind it? The reason is the resonating structure of benzene. So Kekule finally made one last statement about the dream. Pay attention, all of you. If you are really passionate about your dream, you should pay attention. Let us learn to dream. Now this has got explicit meaning as well as implicit meaning. Explicitly, you will say that you go to sleep and you see a dream. And implicitly, it means that you need to have a passion, some ambition, something that you want to achieve. So look at that dream. Let us learn to dream, gentlemen, and then perhaps we shall learn the truth. But let us beware of making our dreams public before they have been approved by the waking mind. So before the dream that you saw, it has been approved by the waking mind, you should not make your dream public. You have to be careful. So Kekule also saw the dream, and after seeing the dream, he worked upon the structure of benzene. He derived the dynamic structure of benzene. He gave it for approval to the seeking body, international organization, and once it was approved, after that only he made his dream public. That is how he found out what could be the structure. See the kind of comparison that he got, the twisting snake with the ring structure of benzene. That is how benzene was invented by Friedrich August Kekule. 100 years later, on the occasion of Kekule's centenary celebration, a group of compounds having polybenzenoid structures have been named as kekulins. And that's how Kekule became so famous, by giving us what we today read and learn about benzene and aromatic compounds, the benzenoid compounds. Believe me, chemistry is love. Love chemistry, and then you will never run away from your love, right? Join us to be a part of becoming an astounding human being and achieving a successful career with KT Educare. We care.